This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets. Top oil exporter Saudi Arabia is expected to cut prices for most crude grades it sells to Asia in October after Middle East benchmark Dubai weakened last month, a poll of 6 refiners showed. The official selling price, OSP, for flagship Arab light crude is expected to fall by 20 to 40 cents a barrel in October, tracking a 17-cent drop in Dubai's market structure, 4 of the respondents said. The remaining 2 expect prices to drop more than $1 a barrel. That would mark the first Saudi price reduction in 5 months and comes after the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries and their allies, a group known as OPEC+, agreed in July to ease supply cuts by 400,000 barrels per day, BPD, every month between August and December.
Oil prices rose more than $1 on Thursday, supported by optimism about the pace of the economic recovery from the pandemic, a sharp decline in U.S. crude stocks and a weaker dollar. Brent crude was up $1.25, or 1.8%, at $72.84 a barrel by 13:41 GMT in West Texas Intermediate. WTI crude rose $1.39, or 2%, to $69.98. The number of Americans filing new claims for jobless benefits fell last week, while layoffs dropped to their lowest level in more than 24 years in August, suggesting the labor market was charging ahead even as new COVID-19 infections surge.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
The Court of Justice of the European Union on Thursday said Germany's energy regulator must be more independent in applying the bloc's electricity and gas regulations. The CJEU criticized the Bundesnetzagentur's BNetzA practices regarding company unbundling rules and methods related to the calculation of network tariffs. It sided with the EU Commission in a case which will be relevant to continued moves to more decarbonized systems known as the energy transition. The BNetzA said it would study the ruling but not rock the boat for investors ahead of possible changes in implementing EU electricity and gas regulations.
U.S. oil and gas companies strained to get offshore operations back up and running on Thursday as the extent of Hurricane Ida's damages became more apparent. Ida's 150-mile-per-hour winds delivered a direct hit to the nation's energy infrastructure. About 80% of the Gulf of Mexico's oil and gas output remained offline in hundreds of platforms and rigs as energy firms struggled to complete aerial surveys and return workers because of damages to onshore terminals and base sites. A few companies, including BHP and Murphy Oil, took first steps for restarting offshore production, but they were in the minority. Just 39 of the 288 platforms evacuated last week had received new crews by Wednesday, according to the U.S. Bureau of Safety and Environmental Enforcement.
Next, we have the top news in metal markets.
Mining powerhouse Chile needs $150 billion in investment to hit its goal to nearly double copper output by 2050, part of a bigger plan by the world's top copper producer to ratchet up production while reducing environmental harm, the country's mining minister told Reuters on Wednesday. Energy and Mining Minister Juan Carlos Jobe on Tuesday announced a new national mining blueprint that aims to increase the traceability of copper produced in Chile, slash water use and bolster diversity at mining companies. In a telephone interview the day after the announcement, Jobe, a former corporate financier who attended Harvard, unveiled details of the plan aimed at keeping Chile on the cutting edge of mine production as demand for metals copper and lithium soars globally.
The amount of annual aluminium capacity shut down in top producer China so far this year has exceeded 2 million tons and could rise further, state-backed Chinese research house Antake said on Thursday. Several Chinese regions, including the smelting hubs of Yunnan, Xinjiang and Inner Mongolia, have imposed restrictions on aluminium makers' electricity consumption or metal production in recent months because of tight power supplies and pressure to reduce emissions. Antake analyst Shen Lingen said on a webinar that these measures, plus some flooding in Henan, led to output cuts of 2.33 million tons of aluminium on an annual basis by August. That is equivalent to 5.9% of China's operational aluminium capacity of 39.67 million tons at the end of 2020. We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector. World food prices jumped in August after 2 consecutive months of decline, pushed up by strong gains for sugar, vegetable oils and some cereals, the United Nations Food Agency said on Thursday. The Rome-based Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, also said in a statement that worldwide cereal harvests would come in at nearly 2.788 billion tons in 2021, down on its previous estimate of 2.817 billion tons but still up on 2020 levels. FAO's Food Price Index, which tracks international prices of the most globally traded food commodities, averaged 127.4 points last month compared with 123.5 in July.
That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.